Hey guys, I'm back to do another 7 Days to Die video. This is Alpha 16.4, and it's looking like this is probably the last stable build that they're going to push before moving on to Alpha 17. So I would expect this build to probably be live for a couple of months at least. So I thought, it's probably worth it to go ahead and do another first day video at least. And I'm kind of hoping to have the time to kind of keep going with this one. Hopefully make a video on the first day and then maybe make some videos kind of covering the first week yet too. But it is kind of around the holidays, so no promises. So I've already generated my world, but I haven't played any yet. I just loaded into it to make sure the terrain all generated, because that takes a while. I'm playing on all default options. I've actually reverted my game, uninstalled all my mods, and reverted my game back to the default. For those of you playing on PC, I do usually play with mods. You can find a bunch of mods on the forums for the game. In particular, there's a pretty great mod that adds a ton of POIs to the game. I pretty much always play with that on unless I'm doing a video. So I've turned that off for this one, but I highly recommend that mod. It adds hundreds of new POIs. Some of them are pretty unbalanced, like there may be too much loot in them, or they may not even spawn into the world correctly, but overall, if you've played a couple of games of 7 Days to Die, you've probably seen everything that the vanilla game has to see. That game can really increase the number of things to see. So this is random gen, all default settings. Again, I have spawned in, so I've already accepted the starting quests here, but that's where I'm going to start out. 718, I'm spawned in a desert. I can see water right there. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know my first day video, I just kind of go over how I spend my first day. This is how I play the game. Plenty of other ways to play the game. A couple of tips that you may or may not know. It's probably not going to be real helpful to people who have got a lot of hours into the game, but somebody that maybe picked it up on a holiday sale, because it is constantly on sale, might get something useful out of it. I'm going to pick up a bunch of grass. And we're going to do our first quest, which is to make a bedroll. So, open up our inventory, craft the bedroll. Takes a little bit. Going to keep picking stuff up. Right at the beginning, I recommend you stay close to where you spawned in at, because there's a safe zone around you for about 5 in-game hours or so. There won't be any zombies spawning in. Now, that doesn't mean animals. So it is interesting that you could get a bear or a wolf in that area. Doesn't look like there's anything near me. And then we're just going to pick up a ton of rocks, a ton of grass, loot anything else that may be laying around. Our bedroll is done, so now our quest wants us to lay it down. That's a good plan, just because that sets our spawn point. So now if I accidentally fall off a cliff or something and die, I'll respawn right here, which will theoretically be close to my body. Those bushes right there that I'm hitting, those will give you wood. Let's see. There's +2 wood. I find one of the hardest things to find in the first couple of minutes of the game is going to be rocks, so I'll always go out of my way to pick up a rock. Birds' nests are important too. Okay, we got enough rocks. If you happen to spawn in the desert, pick up lots of yucca and aloe. Those are both useful in the early game. They only spawn in the desert though, so if you didn't spawn in the desert, you're not going to be able to pick those up. And I'm going to set up my toolbar real quick. I always keep my bandages right there. I don't need to have my land claim block or my food or my water on the toolbar. And I'm going to put that stone axe in the first slot. So we've got enough plant fibers to go ahead and do the next part. Make some gloves, a hood. And now I have to make a hood for the quest, but I'm actually going to scrap it immediately after I complete the quest, and then I'm going to come back and make a plant fiber hat. And the reason being that the hat is actually going to make me cooler here in the desert. So that's going to help out with the overheating issue that I would imagine I'm going to start having any time now. And while that stuff is crafting, I'm also going to check my map. Oh, I got a POI over there, and that's actually a good POI. That one has a good chance for having a working forge in it. It'll either have a broken forge or a working forge in it, but it's worth checking it out at least. Let's wear all our clothes, get our quest done, and get that hood off of there. We're going to scrap that, and we're going to make the hat. Okay. And it wants me to make a club. So my priority is on the first day, I'm going to just gather up enough materials. One thing you're not going to get a lot of in the desert, unfortunately, is wood, and we do need some extra wood. So normally, any other zone that I spawn in, I'm going to spend some time breaking apart resource rocks, and I'm going to spend a little time breaking apart, or breaking down trees. Don't see any. Oh, there's some resource rocks right down there. Resource rocks are the best way to get stone in the early game, and they also give you a little bit of all the other minerals when you're breaking them. And there's some trees over there, so I'm going to head towards those trees. Well, in older versions, I always said make your arrows before you make your bow, because it helps to level up your bow. That's no longer true in this version. Your bow's going to be level 25 no matter what you do. It is pretty safe to go ahead and make as many arrows as you can here in the beginning. You're going to need a bunch. I didn't have enough rock to make very many. So I'm going to get some more rock, and then I'm probably going to be out of wood, so I'm going to need to get more wood. So first things first, I'm going to get through my quest up to this part right here, start a base. I'm not going to go any further right now. I'll probably finish my quest tonight, because from here on it's wants me to place some wood frames and upgrade them. I really don't want to mess around with that while I'm out here in the open, and there's no benefit to it. And then the next part of the quest is going to be to like make a campfire and place it, and I really don't want to just drop that down anywhere. I'm going to have to make one for my base anyway. So this is kind of where I pause on that beginning quest. You can see I'm not doing as much damage to the rock because my stamina is getting low, so I'm going to stop that for a little bit. Go some aloe. And guys, like I say in every single one of my videos, I do turn the visuals way down, just so that the video will be a little smoother, so I don't have so many glitches and frame interrupts. So that if things don't look great in the video, it's because I've got it turned way down while I'm shooting the video. The game can look pretty nice if you turn it all the way up, although I gotta say it doesn't run fantastically well since they haven't done any optimization yet. These yucca fruits are really great. You can make either yucca juice out of them for something to drink and to cool you off, or you can just eat them straight up and they work as food. So actually makes the desert one of the best places to start, because you've got both drink and food from that yucca. That's a good one. And you can either pick them up with E or you can hit them and they'll pick them up as well. I can hear my first zombie. There's not a lot of things that I won't pick up here in the beginning. There are some things that aren't really useful for the first part of the game. Lead and brass are not fantastic things. I don't prioritize them. Definitely, if I need room in my inventory, those will be the first things to go. Okay, so we need some wood. Now, I mentioned priorities for the first day, so my next priority is going to be finding somewhere to sleep tonight. Somewhere, because at night time the zombies start to run and they also attack faster. Basically, if you get caught out in the open at night, there's pretty good odds you're going to get killed. Now, I got lucky. I shouldn't even say lucky. With the new distant terrain system, you can pretty much always see some sort of building from anywhere on the map. That one there, this cabin over here, that's going to be just a perfect spot for me to go ahead and spend the night. It is on the edge, it looks like, of a wasteland biome, so that's a little unfortunate. Wasteland biomes have two problems. Number one, they're full of landmines. That right there, that is a landmine, and if I walk over it, it's going to kill me. So, gotta watch for those. Kind of a not so fun aspect of the game. And the other problem with Wasteland is that they have an increased chance for dog spawns. And a dog, if I ran into a dog right now, it would almost certainly kill me. They just, until I have a little bit better weapon. The other problem with the Wasteland is that they make creepy noises. We're just going to go ahead and repair that. I haven't put any points into it yet, so I need to make some more arrows. I don't want to use up all my rocks, though, so I'm just going to make enough arrows so that if I did run into a dog, at least I wouldn't run out of arrows. This wooden club is next to useless. You absolutely don't want to use it unless it's in last resort. I've seen many people die trying to kill something with that wooden club. Basically what I do is, if I have to use the wooden club, there's a snake right there, I can hear him. If I have to use the wooden club, I will hit the zombie to stun it with the wooden club and then try to run away and either just keep running or turn around and shoot it with a bow and arrow. Bow and arrow is a much superior weapon in the beginning, especially if you can hit headshots with it. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to poke in here real quick and see if there's a forge in here. If there isn't a forge, then my next priority is going to be to hunt some animals. Now I'm not going to worry about it too much on the first day. I've got plenty of food. I'm not going to die of starvation on the first day. And I don't... Whoop, there's one of those landmines. Those things are really hard to see here in the Wasteland, and if you're a new player, I'd probably suggest just staying out of the Wasteland until later in the game. There's another landmine right there. They're really all over the place here. If I don't get exploded, that'll be a miracle. I have a tendency to walk over landmines as is, and it's even worse whenever they're spread out randomly. So there's that forge I was talking about. And that is a working forge, so I'm tempted to try to stay here. I got too close and woke up the zombies. I'm gonna let him... Whoops. Alright, I'm pretty sure that one should have hit him. I'm not doing a great job of hitting the headshots here. There's one. The heads don't always explode, but it sure is nice when they do. And looks like we got a couple more coming from up here. I shouldn't be wasting my arrows taking these long shots, but... In general, the bigger a zombie physically is, the more arrows or the more damage they're going to take to kill them. Big Mama here takes several direct headshots. And if you guys knock an arrow and you don't have anything to shoot at, it took me a long time to figure this out. If you hit the reload button, it'll unknock the arrow. So there's a dog. That would be the absolute worst thing right now, especially since I'm down to one arrow. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Oh. I'm going to try to loot just a little bit. Always loot bookcases. Coolers. Cupboards, if you have the time, definitely loot cupboards in the beginning part of the game, but I start skipping them pretty early in the game because they might have a food item in them, they're probably going to have an empty jar in them, and they might have some tin cans. That stuff's fine in the beginning part when I don't have anything and I need everything, but it's not real important. Yeah. Later on. Somebody just walked across a landmine. Hopefully it killed him. If it didn't, I'm probably going to have a bad time. So I'm finding some good things here. Oh. I know I said don't use the wood club unless you have to, but in this case, I don't want to go running around all willy-nilly outside with that dog out there. And speaking of that dog, just in case he wanders up here, I'm going to put those there so those frames won't hold up. I mean, it'll take one hit, 2 hits tops for him to go through them. But they will at least give me a warning that he's coming. These guys are so hard to hit. Luckily the AI is not great, and it will often get confused and just stand there and hit nothing. Okay, nothing up there. So we've pretty much looted everything here. I'm going to take that candle with me. I think there was one up here too. So I can't make any torches. But I'm actually going to get out of here. I don't want to end up walking over a landmine, and I don't want to end up getting attacked by a dog, and it's... There's that landmine. Too early in the day for me to just set up camp. I can still get some other stuff accomplished. So first things first, I'm going to get out of the wasteland. Hopefully without making any dogs angry. So I'm looting so many nests because more for the eggs than for the arrows. It's good to have arrows, definitely, but I've probably got, feathers. It's good to have the feathers because you're going to use a lot of arrows here in the beginning part of the game. But the eggs are more important because when I finally get my animal kills, I really want to be able to make bacon and eggs. Potato seed. If I'm going to start farming anytime soon, the potato seed is a great find. The potatoes are one of the hardest crops to find. Okay, so I got a little time left in my day. Let's take a look at where we're at. So that is wasteland right there. We don't want to go that way. Our coordinate system says right now we are northwest. So ideally we'd want to go southeast. And the reason I say that is I don't really have any direction that I need to go. From where I'm standing right here, I can see a building over there that's in the wasteland. I can see this one right here. I can circle back to that if I absolutely need to. But I don't really have anything to guide me in the right direction yet. So one direction's as good as the next. So I always do is unless I see a road or something that makes me want to go in the other direction, there's nothing wrong with going in the other direction, but unless I see something that makes me want to go in the other direction, I usually head towards the center. And the reason being, in the old games, in the old versions of the game, there was always a city at the center. In the new one, there's not always a city at the center, but I've found that there's usually something at the center. So what I want to do now is I actually want to get up. I'm going to skip a few things here. And I want to get up on this ridge and take a look at my surroundings. Got a lot of desert. A lot of desert in every direction. Okay, over there we've got a town that is straight south of me. And those might be streets, those lines right there, that I'm just not populating the buildings yet. So I'm going to say that that's probably a decent sized town over there. That what we're seeing right there is probably just one neighborhood, and then there's probably another neighborhood down a little further away from me here. Over here we've got a campsite in the distance, and that is a ranger station. Ranger stations are okay for shelter, especially for the first night. They're not... Oh, I'm out of arrows. I'd be pretty red-faced if I tried to shoot a zombie right now and got killed because of it. So as I was saying, ranger stations are not a bad place to spend a night, and they are completely indefensible. The layout of them is kind of terrible for trying to defend them. So if we choose to stay at that ranger station, what I would do is get up on the roof, knock out the ladder underneath me, or put some blocks at the top of the ladder so the zombies can't come up it, and just hang out on the roof. And that tactic works for pretty much everything, no matter what. I mean, I could even spend the night on just a shed if I wanted to, as long as I got up on the roof and the zombies couldn't get to me. And I've also got a video out there somewhere about an emergency shelter. It still works in this alpha, where you can kind of build up a few wooden frames, stack them in a platform style, and then if you stay in the middle of the platform, the zombies will just kind of sit underneath it and swing. I consider it to be well, it's kind of a pain because you have to lay all these wooden frames. You have to build a bunch of wooden frames. That bird is attacking. My game's doing... So sometimes the game your crosshairs will start to misalign, and then you need to switch off the weapon and switch back in order for them to start lining up again. That bird is still mad. Vultures are pretty hard to hit with arrows, really, unless they're coming straight at you. And I probably would be better off just to ignore him. There's a snake over there, a zombie chasing me. One of the biggest tips in the first day is don't stop moving for very long. During the daytime, you can outrun zombies, you can outrun most animals, vultures, and so on and so forth. As long as you don't stop moving. So it looks like this might be the spot for me to cross the water, the narrowest spot, without going all the way around. So I'm going to do it. Now, one thing to note is if the weather's cold, if this was a snow biome, for example, and the weather was cold, getting in the water is going to make you colder. Now, I think I'm going to be just fine because I was in a desert area. I'm probably a little on the warm side, so the water's not going to hurt me any. And I'm just going to stay right here on the surface, swimming across the water. I'm sprinting, that's why my stamina is going down. Sprinting in the water actually does make you swim faster. And that's another tip for the first day, is don't ever let your stamina get all the way down. Not much of an issue here in the water, but when I'm running around just in general, it's a terrible, terrible idea to let your stamina be too low, and I'm not even going to let it go all the way down here, because just your regular walking pace won't outrun anything. So you have to be running, and so if something attacks me, oh, there's that cold I was talking about. If something attacks me and my stamina is empty, I won't do very much damage with my weapons, and I can't outrun it. So I try to always keep my stamina at least 25% or higher when I'm out in the open. So my temperature's not going down too quickly. It does look like we got a little snow over there, so we may be getting into a colder biome. In fact, I'm already warm again here. It's kind of teetering. So these trees are great source of wood. It takes one hit, you get 4 or 5 wood out of them, usually. Plus there's lots of stones here. Yeah, this is a nice little area that I just landed on. So what I want to do is I want to gather up just a little bit of material before I head on into town. And I'm going to... It's nice that I found a town. I usually try to find shelter by 1800 with the addition of sleeper zombies. For most people, I would probably recommend starting a little earlier than that. Especially if you're new to the game, you probably need to start a little earlier than maybe 1600 now, so that you can go in and clear out the sleeper zombies and then prep the place. I feel pretty confident in my ability to make something happen for tonight, so I'm gonna push it a little bit and get to town closer around 1800. And something else that I'd like to do is I'd like to grab a little goldenrod tea. And if I get lucky enough to find a pot, I'm gonna turn what little bit of water I've got in my inventory into goldenrod tea. And that boosts your wellness, so when you drink it, it decreases your thirst just like water would, but it also gives you a wellness boost. And it also works to get rid of dysentery if you happen to have that from eating spoiled meat or rotten meat. Okay, so our town here, let's take a quick look at it. This is actually a really big town. It's got skyscrapers. a skyscraper, two skyscrapers at least, and there might be a third one back there. Yeah, this is turning out to be quite the little metropolis here. So what I want to do is I want to find a place on the edge of town, and honestly it looks like I'm going to have to go across the water again to get there. So rather than go over there where there's a lot of ruins and that, I got a sneaking suspicion that that's going to end up being kind of a rough area. I think I'm going to cross the water over here and head for greener pastures, as it were. This little suburban neighborhood over here has a bunch of houses in it, and it's also a temperate forest biome, so I would expect the temperatures to be fine. I wouldn't expect a ton of dogs. You can see a little bit of the weird terrain generation there, where it kind of plopped down this town right next to some water and had trouble smoothing out the terrain. So I wouldn't normally spend this much time swimming on my first day, because it's kind of a waste of time. I could be looting, I could be killing. If I had known, I probably would have crossed the water somewhere else. But that's okay. So if I'd come across any animals, I definitely would have taken a couple shots at them. Deer are a little hard to kill on the first day with just your bow and arrow and no skills or upgrades. They're definitely doable. You have to kind of sneak up on them, hope for a headshot, maybe chase them around for a while and get a second arrow on them. Boars are actually the easiest thing to kill if you know what you're doing. The thing about boars is they won't run from you, but the moment that you attack them, they're going to attack you back. So you want to get yourself at a good distance, crouch down so you're sneaking, and that'll make you do extra damage, and then make sure you get a headshot on that first arrow. If you're lucky, that might kill them outright. If you're not lucky, they're going to make a beeline straight for you, and that should make it easy to line up another headshot and hit them before they get to you. You can also backpedal, and if you sprint while you're backpedaling, it's going to really buy you a lot of time before they get to you. So you may even be able to get a third arrow off. Grab some extra wood. One thing to note here is that this cliff, you can see some gravel and you can see some other minerals maybe over in the edge. Cliffs are a great place to hunt for minerals. This gravel right here, if I take a shovel to it, I might get some iron or something out of it, and I'll definitely get a bunch of stone. And so if you kill the animals, you want to harvest their carcasses. You can use your stone axe. What I should have done is the first zombie I killed, I should have harvested its carcass, which would have gotten me a bone. And then I could have used that bone to turn into a bone shiv. So pine seeds and maple seeds aren't doing anything for me. Like I said, brass isn't real important, so I'm just going to make broken glass isn't real important. I'm just going to toss some of that stuff in there. Alright, so looking around for a place to stay for the night. Now, all things being equal, the absolute best place to stay in a pinch is a 3-story building, or one of the large 2-story brick buildings. I don't see one of those. They're super common, and I'll bet if I got a little further into town I'd probably find one, but as it is, I don't know that I want to really go any further into town. So any one of these houses will work as well, as long as it's got a second story on it. Can absolutely turn it into a base. What I'd really like is somewhere where I might be able to stay for a day or two, because I think I'll probably spend my first week looting this town. So I'm going to look around just a little. Looks like some pretty good buildings over there. Alright, well, here's 2 3-story houses. This one right here is going to be my new makeshift base. Make some arrows before I go in. Not sure if that's coming from inside the house. Yeah, it sure is. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to sneak around the house. I'm not going to loot anything until I've got the place cleared of zombies. Looks like they're not going to make this easy at all. So I don't want to run out of this. Now the reason I'm sneaking is that the buildings are usually full of sleeper zombies who don't wake up until you get close to them. And that distance is much, much closer if you're sleeping. There's one. Or if you're sneaking. And if I can sneak up on them and get them with a headshot, kills them outright, I don't have to use so many arrows. What we'd really like to do here we're going to knock out the bottom rung of this ladder, and the reason being that the zombies can't climb on ladders that don't go all the way to the ground because they can't jump. So at the least when I get up there, nothing can follow me up and surprise me. Now unfortunately, when you climb a ladder, makes you unsneak. Alright, now we got a real problem here. Because old Big Mama ain't gonna be easy to kill. Don't think she was actually a real... Check up here, make sure there's nothing else up here. Make myself a few more arrows. Can't see his head, so I just gotta put in the body shots. Alright, so everything about all of those fights was just me getting really lucky so far and not getting hit. Like we might have a guy outside. Okay, it looks like he must be stuck in the kitchen. So I'm gonna loot that refrigerator before he breaks it, if that's where he's at. I don't know if he just wandered away or where he went. Looks like I need some plant fibers before I go upstairs. Always good to check before you get there, because I want to put a new bed here. Get that started crafting. Whoa, I don't know where he came from. There's definitely some issues with the sleeper system where sometimes things spawn in delayed. Maybe he was up there the whole time and I just didn't see him. Guess we can leave that there for now. Yeah, he must have been in the closet or something whenever. Alright. I'm gonna get my bedroll down. That's gonna keep anything new from spawning around here, and it's also gonna give me a place to respawn. Oh. Never mind, this is where he came from. He was in the kitchen, and he just knocked out the stairs to get to me. Well, that's just fine. He gave me a nice easy way into the kitchen. My bag's full. We don't need that. We can scrap those. Scrap that. Jar of honey is a great find. That will cure infection. If I happen to get hit, there's every time you get hit. Now that's what I'm really looking for right there. And I can just use these vitamins, go ahead and eat them. There's no harm in that. I guess I might as well pick up that potassium nitrate too, since I'm already carrying it. But yeah, if you get hit, a good chance you're going to get infected. You get infected if you use honey in the first day or two. I think it's a day. It will cure it. So, works like antibiotics, but it only works for a limited amount of time. Alright, so all I got to do now to make myself safe and secure is make a hatch. We already know that zombies can't... Oops, I gotta make room in my inventory. We're just gonna drop those couple of feathers there. Zombies can't crawl up that ladder if it doesn't go all the way to the down to the bottom, but there is an exception to that, and that is that if zombies start to stack up on each other, they could potentially grab a hold of that ladder. I've seen that happen once or twice, and it's very, very rare. But I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to put a hatch right there, and right now, in the game, they do not have the ability to come through the hatches. They just can't attack upward. So hatches are, even at their basic level, are pretty secure, since nothing can attack up. The only way I could get in trouble there is if an exploding cop zombie exploded directly underneath that hatch. That could possibly kill the hatch, destroy the hatch. But if that happened, 100% that would also destroy the ladders, so then they'd still not be able to get up. Go ahead and take some cloth. This thing here, #1 tip, don't bother. Don't even bother trying to open these safes until you've got a pretty decent pickaxe. It just takes forever. Anything that you find in there, you're probably not going to be able to use. Gun parts, you're not going to be able to use them yet this early in the game. Plus, everything inside of that's going to be the level, like it's going to be scaled and leveled to my level. So when I open it, it's going to have stuff that is appropriate for like a level 1 character. So those parts will be forever useless. And if I wait until I'm a higher level to open it, then I might have better parts in there. So, these candles aren't providing a lot of light, so I'm going to put that torch up. And the last thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish my quest, make a campfire. So my quest is to place and upgrade 3 blocks. I don't really have anywhere that I need 3 blocks, so I'm just gonna put them wherever. Get that quest done. Gets me on to the part of the quest about making a campfire. Make myself a little campfire. Put my cooking pot in there. And the first thing I'm going to do is make as much goldenrod tea as I can. Here's another little hint. Right now, in Alpha 16.4, if you put 2 pieces of wood in the fire, you get 1:40 of burn time, so 50 seconds a piece. If you use those 2 pieces of wood to make a frame, and you put the frame in the fire, you get 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now that is 100% a bug. It's an oversight. They changed frames from 4 wood to 2 wood. And they forgot to change the burn time for the frames, but you know, it's in there, and I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna use that frame and make some goldenrod tea. Alright guys, hopefully you found something useful in this video. I'm actually going to stop it right here. Like I said, I hope to make some more videos of this game, kind of continuing on in the week, but with the holidays approaching, I just never know if I'm going to have time or not. So, if you did enjoy the video, if you did learn anything, go ahead and hit the like button if you would. I don't make these professionally. I don't get paid for them. Sorry for the low quality. I just use regular old equipment. So, but hopefully the information makes up for it. Thanks.